So anyways, I was like thinking at the time when I was really young that I was going to go into the medical field. And so I was like, oh, this is great. While I was at UCSD though, I basically realized my empathy skills are just like too crazy to enter into a hospital system where my dad was also diagnosed with cancer. So that also was rough. Being on the other side of that. So anyways, I did this performance in undergrad that was talking about the fact that I have these like sort of like perfect surgery hands. But now that I'm sort of like floundering that. So I guess going into ceramics was the substitute for that.
So you're a ceramicist. That's how you identify primarily?
I would say I identify mostly as a sculptor and installation artist, but I use ceramics as the sort of primary tool or material.
So you're not traditionalist. You're discipline. How would you say that? You're not like married to a discipline.
Yeah, I would say, it's more
I was going to say disciplinarian, but that doesn't make sense.
That's a little bit on the other side of that. Disciplinarian seems a little bit more harsh or severe.
Yeah, severe towards your ceramics. That's cool. I love ceramics. My mom was or is a ceramicist, and she would take me as a kid to like what I used to think. I don't know. I'm very proud of myself for my ability to go to ceramics, like really old school, like just utilitarian ceramics, and like love it, you know?
Totally. And to be fair, I still geek out about it because like there's just like there's so much confidence in some of those things that are made and then the glaze is so good and the chance of it all is just so, it's like, it is magic.
Yeah. And what's it called? The Greek stuff is also pretty cool, but I'm not even talking about like stuff that had narratives on them. I'm just talking about like straight up, like these are just very well made, beautiful. I went into NPR voice. Yeah. It's definitely NPR ceramics.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, cool. So let's go get some background on you. Yeah. My intro question is, well, first, I guess I already asked what kind of art you make or how you identify as an artist. First, earliest memories before you had the pressure of squandering your talents in surgery and making them art. Your first inklings as far back as you can remember of you being like, you know what, it makes sense. I can see the path there. And then the moment where you're like, oh no, if I become a surgeon, I'm going to be sad because I can't make art.
Actually, so I guess there were two instances. I did have like the really great privilege in my childhood to travel a lot. And so like there would be these like really beautiful, mystical, magical experiences within like Gothic churches or cathedrals.
Where at?
Mostly in Rome. I remember having this experience with Bernini. I can't remember the chapel's name, but it's the Saint Teresa on Fire or Saint Teresa in Ecstasy. And I just remember that being like such a profound experience. And I was always sort of an artistic child where I was like, how can I like do this but biologically? And I loved science at the same time. Like I loved looking at my dad's like medical, like old school, like 1960s text.
What's your dad's specific?
He is a pulmonologist that specializes in ICU care and research, like pulmonology, like COPD.
I used to work at a hospital that was specified. It's like a lot of old people.
Yeah.
Geriatric care. Yeah.
Not the nicest term, but it also is as...
Isn't it medical though? It's not like bigoted.
Yeah. No, it's just, I feel like a lot of geriatric people don't like to be called geriatric because whatever. My cousin's husband, I don't know what that makes him to me. He calls people Jerry's. I know, it's really cute.
But he tells me it's I was like, why? And he was like, oh yeah, because I'm calling you old.
Yeah, pretty much. And so, and also too, I think like when we think about our bodies aging or like just sort of getting through all of those different stages of how our bodies are changing too, it's a very uncomfortable place to be for a lot of people. So okay, wait. So then there was those textbooks, but basically I wouldn't say it was until college I realized really specifically that I was not meant to be in the like a doctor or some sort of medical professional.
You said something about empathy.
I realized it was really difficult to be on the other side as a patient. Like basically I'd grown up with all these like very intense, kind of brutal, like dinner table conversations that again wasn't like giving any information away. It would just be like, oh yeah, we had people dying or like people having like really weird medical situations that were kind of like interesting between my parents or even my brother as he's like moved in to become a doctor as well. But so like if you can imagine, we're talking blood, we're talking guts at the dinner table. And so I was like, oh, I can handle this. And then as soon as my dad actually was diagnosed with leukemia, it became this sort of like, oh, I don't know. This is really hard to be in the waiting room. This is really hard to be.
That's like fucking heavy cancer too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the blood cancer one.
Yes.
Yeah. I've known a few people that have died from that.
Oh yeah.
Over the years. I had a teacher, I had a friend, shout out to Pabon.
Yeah.
And like that shit is fast too. How's he doing?
Oh, he's great. He's in remission. Again, and this is sort of the interesting sort of like, because he was a doctor, he knew the best care. He knew how to catch it. He caught it very early.
So he went with like no chemo. Where was it that what's his name went that Andy Warhol went?
Oh no, I would definitely not recommend going there. My dad definitely had chemo. Several rounds actually, and so yeah, it was just one of those things where I think it put it a lot in perspective. It also really like. I was already having, this was actually my first quarter of college. So it was also like really right in the critical moment of like sort of deciding what you wanted to be. So I decided like, I realized it wasn't the right thing, but then there was this sort of question, well, if it's not this industry that actually is pretty like consistent, like it has a good sort of direction or trajectory for a family or like a really normal life, like what does that look like? And so I've always been struggling, or I would say I struggled in college sort of thinking about like, how can I make this art system work? I was like, oh, should I be an illustrator? Should I be a medical illustrator? Should I be...
and then you realized you were in art school and no one had that answer for you, or no one could fucking help you at all.
No, and it was really about like, how bad do you want this? What do you want out of this? Also, like, do you want to just make art for the rest of your life, or do you actually want to participate in a community and have those dialogues and conversations? So like, that was also crazy. I also went on the other side of it. I was a museum educator for a while at the Museum of Contemporary Art, San Diego.
Okay.
And then after that, I became a middle school and high school art educator, where I taught ceramics and just art in general. And so it was also like, while I was trying to determine whether I wanted to be an artist, I also had like all of these sort of surrounding questions that would always constantly tell you like, okay, well, what's the value of art? What is the reason art should be in society?
It's a weird thing to go to school for. I definitely like as I have shed the insecurities over time. I've been doing this podcast long enough that no one even really cares that I don't have an MFA.
Yeah.
It never comes up. Because I'm not applying for teaching jobs. So
no.
That's like literally the only place that people care. But it's a weird thing, and it speaks to kind of why I framed the question of like, you can't not do it or you won't be happy, because you're literally learning how you're going to school for 4 years to what is essentially, commercially speaking, a hobby.
Yeah.
Totally. And then there's like, so then there's a weeding out process. I feel like the most successful artists I know made it work because they didn't come from like backgrounds like ours where, we get to travel and shit, but yeah, it is a very strange, and like, I went to school, so I'm not like at all bashing the idea, but I think that in a different time, the art educational system was maybe a little bit more like, it feels like art is irrelevant.